Welcome to the 92nd video in our series about Unix tools. In this video, I'm going to continue showing you how to use the Git version control software. In the last video, we learned about the three logical categories of diffs you can request which pertain to the code in your working directory. Briefly, these were git diff staged, and git diff head. Let's see those in action. To do that, we'll need something staged and something changed but not staged. That will guarantee we get three different diffs and help you understand what's going on, because the situation will be that head and index are different because something's been staged, and index and the working directory will be different because there'll be a change that hasn't been staged. And that will also mean that there is a difference between head and the working directory that's different than between head and staged, or between staged and the working directory. That's a lot of words. Let's see it in action. So we did most of our version control work in this directory with this project. So let's do a git stat and see what's going on. And of course I didn't spell it out, and it shows, what does git status show? Nothing. It has no output. And we know that that is a result of configuring Git to use the short style. If you wanted to get something longer, you could ask for the long style. It says on branch master there's nothing to commit. The working tree is clean. So it doesn't look clean to me, right? So we've got the shared libraries built. You can see them here. So we're going to use makefile2 and do a disk clean. And there we go. I said we have to make a change and stage it. So and if we do a git stat, you'll see that readme has been modified. It's in the second column, which means that change is not staged. So to stage it, we'll do a git add of readme. And when we do git status again, you notice the M has moved to column 1. So we now have a staged change. We need one more change that hasn't been staged. So let's go into readme and change it some more. And maybe we forgot the period. Now if we do a git status, you see two M's. What that tells you is there are some changes. The column 1M says there are some staged changes, and the column 2M says and there are some unstaged changes. So let's look at the three categories of diff. We'll start with git diff, and if you remember, git diff is going to show us the difference between what's staged and what's in the working directory. And the difference is hard to highlight, but it's that one period. Okay, then we had git diff staged, or you could say git diff cached. And this is going to show us the difference between the last commit and what is staged. What is staged does not have the period, as you can see. A blank line and this, but it does not include the period. And then the third choice, which is git diff head, will forget about the index. It doesn't care about the index. It's going to compare the last commit to what's in the working directory. It will look very much like this one, but it will show the period at the end of the sentence. And you can see there's the period. So it got the stage change, which was the blank line and this, and it got the unstaged change, which was the period. And that shows you clearly, I hope, the three kinds of diff that we can generate that concern the code in the working directory. Now, I've staged a change and I don't want it because it was a silly change just so I could show you stuff. How can we get rid of this? Well, you might think, I'll do a git checkout of readme. Right? And it says I updated one path from the index, and if I can't readme, I went back to, I lost the changes after the last stage, but I still have stage changes. I haven't gotten rid of the stage changes. And so you might wonder, man, if I just don't want that stage, how do I get rid of the staging? And that's a great question and a common problem. And you might try something like git reset hard. And you've seen this on web pages, you've seen this in tutorials. This is like the nuclear weapon for git that just says, man, set it back to head, lose everything. It's dangerous because sometimes you'll lose more than you want to if you aren't careful. But let's see if we do a git status long. Remember, git status long gives hints. And what does it say? And it says, ooh, don't do that git reset thing. Git restore staged file to unstage. Okay, git restore staged, and our file was readme, right? Now let's take a look at readme. And again, it looks the same to me. But you can see the M has moved. And now it's in the working directory, but it is not staged. And so now we could do our git checkout again. And because it's not staged, it'll check it out from head. And you see, finally, the change is gone. Is there a better way to do that? Probably. But this did it with the tools we know, and we only had to learn one new thing, and we learned git restore low staged, and then you give the file name, will unstage the change for you. And then after you unstage it, then you can do a git checkout, and you'll get the one from the last commit. If you don't do the restore and you do a git checkout, you'll get the one from the index, which loses all the change since the git add, but it doesn't lose the git add. To lose the git add, we have to do a git restore and then the git checkout. And anytime you're working in a normal bash shell, and you can do something like this to find out your shell. And yes, it says bin bash. You have to be careful. Some systems lie. So you might want to do echo bash version. And yes, this is really bash 5.2.15. If it was some fake shell symlinked to bin bash, this would not produce any output. Okay, why am I worrying about if it's bash? If it's bash, you can do a history, and we only want, say, the last 50 commands, and you can see what we've done. We did a git diff, we did a git diff stage, we did a git diff head, we tried to git checkout, it didn't do what we wanted. We did a git status, and we forced the long so we could see the hints. Then we did the restore, and we checked it, and the problem was that it looked the same. And that's because restore unstaged it, but it didn't go get the original version from head. To do that, we have to do a git checkout readme after we do the restore of readme. And then finally, when we looked at readme, we had the original version again. And if we do a git stat us, it shows nothing. And remember, if you're worried, you can put the long on there. Nothing to commit. The working tree is clean. There's nothing staged. There's nothing changed. We're back to exactly the same thing as head. So we've sort of gone in a circle. We added some changes in 2 steps. Some were added to the index or staged. Some were not. We tried the 3 git diffs, and then we worked hard to undo those changes, and we were successful. So that's all the time we've got for this video. I hope you come back for our next video, and we'll talk some more about Git version control, because it's complicated and you need lots of training to use it. Until then, thank you for listening.